Bonsoir tout le monde. Bienvenue à notre réunion du 16 octobre 2023. Couple de petites choses en anglais, on dit ça housekeeping. Première chose, cellulaire, s'il vous plaît, éteignez-les, serrez-les, on ne veut pas l'entendre. Essentiellement, il ne faut pas que ça dérange. S'il vous plaît. Deuxièmement, juste pour vous faire part, il y a eu quelque chose de courriel. La retraite qui était suggérée est annulée. On ne l'aura pas cette journée-là. On ne l'aura pas en dehors de la ville. On l'aura
oui,
l'année prochaine.
Peut-être qu'on l'aura avant.
Ça va pas marcher. Parfait. Monsieur Greffier, encore.
We do have quorum, so there was one council member, like was making, he was at a conference outside the province today and tomorrow.
Ça a l'air confus, le conseil.
Yes, and the councillor seems to be confused.
Déclaration de conflit d'intérêt.
Declaration of conflict of interest. Are there any council members who would like to get their conflict of interest on the items on the agenda?
Merci.
Done, thank you.
Adoption de l'ordre du jour. Vous avez devant vous,
Adoption of the agenda.
les gros écrans.
So we have them. I would simply need a motion to adopt the agenda moved by Councillor Jean-Claude.
Le conseiller.
Councillor Jean-Claude Bertrand,
Puis de la conseillère.
seconded by Councillor Germaine Galland. Questions on the motion?
Sinon, tous en faveur.
If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Contre non.
Against nay.
Adopté.
Motion carried.
Procès-verbaux.
Minutes. We have the minutes of the meeting held on October 3rd, 2023, so 2 weeks ago. So if you have, I just need like a motion to adopt these minutes. Councillor Paul Boudreau moves like that the minutes of the meeting held on October 3rd be adopted as presented, seconded by Councillor Joël Després. He was going to say Joseph. Questions? Omissions, anything on the minutes? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay, motion carried. Public presentation, we have a few of them. So the first one, we have the Coalition of Inclusive Municipality Against Racism and Discrimination. It's Mrs. Philomene Zangio, I'm pronouncing right, so you can come up front, please. I hope you're good. You can go to the podium. You will talk to us. So yes, please keep it. Say the highlights. So thank you very much to accept this invitation. I would like to say hi to the Honorable Victor Boudreau. I had the opportunity to work with him for a while. I'm Philomene Zangio, and I'm the director of the Stella Maris the Kent Hospital, and I've been almost a year in that position. However, I'm also the president of the Human Rights Commission of New Brunswick, and I'm also the member of the Magistrature Council of the province. So this evening, I'm coming here to let you know, like this year, we are celebrating like the 75th anniversary of the Human Rights Declaration. And as all any New Brunswicker, you should be proud of it. Why? Because it was this draft of the Universal Human Rights Declaration, the person who wrote it was a New Brunswicker. And each New Brunswicker should be aware of it. Even though we were pioneers on this issue, we're still dragging behind. This is the reason I'm here coming to see you, municipal councillors. I went to the United Nations as a human rights commissioner, and the reaction was like the government closest to the population is the municipality. This is the reason why I'm here this evening. I'm here to see you why. Lately, in order to meet the demographic needs of the province, we have to get newcomers. We might not be as you are, as I see you in the council, maybe more like me, who is different by my size, my accent, and the color of my hair, or my sexual orientation. But I have to live with you. But in order to live with you, we have to find common grounds. How can you find it when you're not used to this? And the reason I'm inviting you as a
OK, ça doit être la traductrice.
OK, right. Tu peux continuer.
Essayez-là.
Yeah, try again.
Ça, c'est quelque chose de technique.
It's a technical problem, like I think they were hearing me. So perfect. So the United Nations, they did experience so what you'll be living like in the next coming year, to have like a diversity in our communities, to have a difference in our communities. So we have to be inclusive, to be accepting each other so that we can live together. So they open we open our boundaries not only for merchandise but people to live together. Like someone born Shediac to move to Congo where I live, and people from Congo can live to Shediac, but each have to understand each other. So that's the reason. But the United Nations, along with municipalities, who already experienced this, so they prepare policies and programs. In order to join those policies and programs, you have, as a municipal council, declared that you want to join like the coalition for inclusive municipalities. So there's already policies that was developed for you. You just have like to use the declaration and send it to the United Nations through UNESCO. So once I think I send it to you, like the declaration. If you do not have it, I think I have it. It's here. I will leave it to you as council members, and if you decide, your mayor just have to sign it and send it to UNESCO. That's it. That's all you have to do. So once it's done, you have access to a database of all the information that will allow you to develop inclusive policies within the municipality. They will help you as other municipalities like of your size, how they were able to function in a coalition. That's it. And once you did it, the Shediac community would like to know that their municipal councillors decided to become an inclusive municipality. So then you will have like a press release at the radio station and the TV. It would be something would be good. So that's all you have to do, and we'll all be living together in joy and fraternity. Thank you, Mrs. Zengo. It's certainly something like the administration could look like and come with a recommendation. And it seems to be like a great project we could be part of. And if you do it, you will be in the region. The municipality of Beau-Rivage already did it, and it's already was already signed. And the press release should come out. So United Nations were the city of Moncton already did it. So I present them. So it was voted unanimously, and it was done also at the city of Dieppe and voted unanimously. And the city of Fredericton already did it, and it was voted unanimously. And I would like to see my Francophone minister to do it the same. And I would be very happy. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. It's something the administration will be able to present a recommendation we can adopt. 6.2 update on the shoreline trail.
En anglais, on appelle ça shoreline trail. Ici, merci, M. Léger, de venir nous
Thank you, Mr. Léger, to come and see us. Mr. Marc Léger works for the Southeast Regional Service Commission, and the trails are his cup of tea. Thanks for the invitation for this evening.
Okay.
So, good evening, everyone. I work for the Service Commission, and my project, the project I'm mostly working on, is the Shoreline Trail. And our plan to connect all the municipalities in the region with trails for short line. And it's a connection from our biggest tourist attraction in southeastern New Brunswick, and we want to connect all of them together. And at this moment, we are working on different corners of the region, and
Hey, bingo.
It was a little bit of technical problems, I think. So today I just wanted to give you an update of the progress with this project, and so we've been working on many years before 2022, but we really made some progress starting in 2022. So there's an occupational permit, on the former railway, it was only going up to the bridge to Skuduk. And we had it last year. So we prepare the technical plans for the different areas of the trails. And also the former railway of Skuduk. And we did an assessment of the Skuduk River Bridge and a preliminary design. And we were fortunate because we got some funding from the LSD gas tag. It was the last time could get this money from the LSD gas tax. So we had the different projects around the region, and we work on the 4 kilometers here in Skuduk, but it's part now of the town of Shediac. So this year, we established the priorities of the trail. So it was to connect the Greater Moncton to Parley Beach, and we found establish a formula to see what we will be working on. And this year, it was some kind of trail construction, 4 kilometers, to Skuduk, the other side of Skuduk River, up to maybe the industrial park. Just to show you what it looks like. So here are some. This is the former railway was used by the ATVs, but they did not have a permit for this segment. But we see the trails, it was not in a good condition for biking or walking. So we show the basis, and we put some surface that was really nice. So we were really happy with the work of Lanco, the company that was awarded the contract. So now we're done for the year, and we also work in Fundy Albert, a different project. So in some areas that were for LSDs, but for the next couple of years, it was certainly our priority, to complete this segment. And so we're looking at the funding, to complete what's left, like between Shediac and Dieppe. And we have to find like an authorization like for a lane. So we have to do some work to do there. We started to talk with the Department of Environment, the permit to work on the Shediac Bridge. And first, the discussion were going quite well, so we do not need to, like the environment impact assessment, it's only like a wawa, like it's a really simple, like and it's not a big, so what's left, like is the former railway bridge. We will cross like the Shediac River twice. First with a smaller bridge and then a bigger bridge. So 10 kilometers, like the two left, like for the kilometers. One is for Shediac and the other one is for the city of Dieppe. And it's a close-up of the old bridge. And the first analysis we did, well, for the preliminary design for new bridge, so it's all done. We did it with the money we received from CN. It was through their communities fund. What's left for Shediac for a connection? Well, it's only the Riverside Drive up to the river, about 591 meters left. And our goal is to open the trail, Mill Creek Park to Parley Beach, an official opening in 2026, but we would like to finish like before the snow falls in 2025. So it will be a 40 kilometers connection in total. And the only thing we need is money. And we already discussed with our representative here, federal, and Mayor Casey and myself, we talked to Dominique Leblanc a couple of weeks ago. And we just talked with our former Minister of ACOA, Ginette Petitpas-Taylor. So those two ministers are really support this project, and we will submit an application on
infrastructure fund.
With the infrastructure fund, and we're hoping to open next year. It should be like sometime in October, November. Any question? Very well summarized, Marc. It's a project that started so we made some progress in 2022 or 2023, and the board of the regional service approved this project 5 years ago. So it's going along slowly but surely. The few council members who have some question. Councillor Joël Desbré, thank you for your presentation. It was very good. I was really happy to see this project because in Shediac we do not have any sidewalks, so it will be really nice for the citizens. I have a few questions though. So do you have an agreement with the ATV club? No, we're sharing like a segment. So the agreement is with the province. We have some of the former railway we are sharing, about 1.4 kilometers. So the segment we did some improvement on the summer, so it will be what will be shared. I apologize, but we talked with the local ATV club, and we will continue to the sharing the trail. By looking at the map, will we be using the same trail we are using for the ATV up to the highway? No, these are new trails. So it answer my question. Because the trail has to go to the tunnel that's going under Highway 2. So that's exactly where the trail is going. So because there's so many curves and blind curves. The railroad bed, like the visibility, you can see from far away. But if we start like sharing trails, it might be hazardous. We do not want to share the trails for many reasons, because of some different experiences, like from different users. A third concern, I saw that there are some barricades going to Shediac. So is it for the construction? So this is for the segment like we have. So the ATVs and the snowmobiles like crossing that bridge. So yes, if I understand this well, but I know a lot of citizens that so they are up to their owner. They go like up to the new bridge. That's where that's how they access the trail. So no, they will not have access with their machine. Now you answered my question. So I presume we'll go further. So these are my two SCODO council members. So you answered my question. So thank you, Councillor Després. Councillor Rolland-Cormier, thanks for your presentation. I was one of those who were looking forward to have someone doing the presentation, because the citizens, like, they are very concerned. Like, they have no details. Like, they are afraid of being afraid. But I will continue on the same idea. So all the answers you gave, like, they were okay, like, except for one. I have a concern, like, where you close like the trails, like you have 3 cement blocks and you close them. You have to consider like the citizens of this region. It's been like 50, 60 years they've been using that trail. And you come up with a project, which is not a bad project. You come up with a project and you're going to exclude them on a trail that they've been using for 40 years. So that's what you told us. We're not excluding them. We're excluding like for some machine. But the machines that are been used like for 40 years, they will be excluded from that trail. This is the reality. They do not have like a license for that segment. So we'll say like they've been going through like for 40 years. If the RCMP they want to police that trail, spend a lot of time. It's out of my control. All I'm saying, it would be good to see, since like we were able to get an agreement with the local club for 1.5 kilometer, maybe more. You're saying it's 1.5 kilometers, like. So we have another kilometer and a half. We should seriously consider to do the same. Can tell you like those concrete blocks. It's only a matter of days. Like they will remove it. Like I have to be honest with you. Like the citizen of the region who use this for 40 years, they will not accept like the answer will give us. I will not remove them. I will respect like what we want to do, but I can tell you in advance, like they will have some problems. And with those 3 concrete blocks, as a councillor, I would ask you like maybe to have an openness to at least to consider, not say no, to go back to the ATV club and have a discussion with them, and maybe we can get to some kind of compromise. But we should not say no. It's over. Like it's certainly not what to establish. So if they have like an occupational permit for this segment, they have to ask the province. It's not our corridor, it's a corridor for the province, and there is a process like to use it. Well, I talked the local club, they did not mention they want like it was up to us to protect like the investment we made this year, because the users of a motorized vehicle, it would make a big difference. If we open for the ATV, it's not up to me to decide. It's up to them to ask the province, and it will change. And it will change the cost to maintain this segment. Thank you. Councillor Paul Boudreau. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mark. It's a great to see you in person. Just I think Roland Joel to share like the German is one of them, like in Nova Scotia, like they're proactive, like for shell trails, the Harvest Moon Trail, like so they're all like so they have like agreements with all like including like the bikers and the walkers. Like could we have like an agreement? And I do a lot. I have an ATV, but I bike a lot too. So it's a question. So the other questions like so the funding, you answer them. So the building material for the Squidog Bridge, I saw the sketch. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake like in Kerman, so because they burned it down. So what do you have in mind, like to avoid vandalism? Like it will be built of steel because it can be vulnerable. It's isolated, so people could do some vandalism. So the plan to go further for Shediac Cape and Kent County. I know Kapakadi, like they're more active. So your mandate is from Shediac to Dieppe for this year. There's no plan like if there's something like Shediac Cape out. I would like also to have like the is it in your plans like for bicycle? If there's an interest like to go in different directions with the trail, I'm always here like to work with the people who are looking at other areas and options. That's the way we work. Like and it's when people hired us. So we were hired in Beaubassin East and Kapakadi. So we work with them. We work in their process. You mentioned financing. So what is the price tag? Ballpark for the bridge and the 10 kilometers left? $6-7 million. So once it's all completed, so you mentioned like the bulk will be like in the Shediac municipality. So we will be responsible for the maintenance of those trails. So what we decided with a plan, like we will send a plan to the board of directors of the commission, and now it's urban boundaries. So the municipalities will be responsible for the municipalities. And then it will be the condition. So it will be shared like between all the municipalities. So my last question, since you're doing some research, right, is there something like the town could help you with, or maybe like the Chamber of Commerce? Like I think it's an excellent project, maybe having like a support letter for the town. Yes, we got a lot of support. And with the board, and we were... and also with the province supports the project. So yes, it could be another detail. We will send a request for the letter because the town like in, so they invested, and that's one of the reasons like we decided like it was a priority, because because you did some work also on this trail. So a detail I forgot to mention. Thanks for mentioning this. It was also like a Trans-Canada trail also, and we got also the money to complete this segment. So if it was an ATV, if it was for ATV, they would not give us the money. So specifically, it's a non-motorized trail, and the exception would be the skidoos. So you had a question, Judy?
Section qui manque, le 493 mètres.
The missing section, the 500, when will you come to the council for financing Connect Riverside to the bridge? As Mark mentioned, it is part where they're renting the space. It's not, doesn't belong to the municipality. It's a lot, provincial lot, that Mark's team is renting. Riverside to the bridge, Judy? Yes. Yes, but it has to be municipality that does the work on it. Even the segment that you had last year, it was on our lot. Sorry, I'm a bit mixed up here. So I'm coming back to my question. I gave them the permission because we're holders of the license of occupation. We say it would be Shediac that will do the maintenance, and that's fine. Thank you. Great. Thank you for the clarifications. Councillor Murray Lloyd.
Mr. Chair, I'm the poor fellow from Shediac Cape, and I see lovely Skiduk, Point of Sheen, and Shediac, old Shediac. But I'm going to be asked to contribute through repairs and other things. And I have no sidewalks. Is there any way that we can throw a loop or something in here that would look at Shediac Cape?
By all means.
How do I go ahead and convince you people, because you have obviously missed it the first go around?
Well, it's not that we've missed it. We had to come up with a strategy to, this is one part of a larger strategy to try to connect all the municipalities across the Southeast. So this was what we thought is a great starting point, a spine for a regional network. There has long been discussed. I've been involved with projects to have a trail go from Shediac all the way up to the Acadian Peninsula, where they have another wonderful place. So I would welcome the opportunity. I've had multiple discussions with folks from Kent County about a trail that would come down from Kent County and connect into our trail. So absolutely, it is a worthwhile endeavor to start discussing and planning. I don't exclude any municipality in trying to find connections, but we have to make priorities. We can't build trails everywhere all at once. There just isn't resources for that. And we created a formula for how do we determine where to put our energies. And ultimately, we usually pick the leading one is how many people will this trail serve as a standalone or once it's connected. So certainly I would be happy to talk about and look at opportunities for connection. And I know there's interest in Kent County to connect through this way to our network. So where that would fall in a priority, at this point, it's early. Planning should be the priority, and finding out where a trail would go, where people would like it to go. And I'd be happy to sit down, and wintertime is when I have time to do exactly that.
Well, I don't have much influence in Kent County, but I certainly have some influence in Shediac.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, you've missed me.
I'm happy to talk anytime about trail connections in Shediac Cape. And I'm not, where I was mentioning Kent County was in reference to, if you come forward with a project and it has more partners and more municipalities at the table, your chances for funding are much, much higher. So I would, my advice to you, we could talk about this and as long as we want, but my advice would be look at where the partnerships are and how much you can grow the base of people that want to build something. And I know there are people in Kent County, as you mentioned, that have interest. So I would say that would be your best connection because they're already talking about that.
Thank you.
That's certainly something we raise with our adjoining municipality northwards of Beausoleil, and whatnot, because we'll have to get through there in order to get to King County, no matter what. Thank you. Conseil Després, une question de suivi.
Follow-up question, Després? Councilor Després, this is a question I forgot to ask. Have you already reached out to the zoners to see if it's okay to the owners of the land to find out if it's okay? No, I mean in Scudo. Well, we spoke to some landowners, a few landowners, to see if it's okay to pass through. Have you considered passing through the railroad bed that's already there until Moncton? I know it's far from where where you would need to go, but it would almost be redone. The former railroad or the current railroad? The former railroad that goes to Pansec Junction. That is still technically and actively railbed. Yes, we looked at that option. It doesn't work for a lot of reasons. But we did speak to the landowners. The former railroad for the industrial park up to the Dieppe border, that's all private. It was bought or transferred to the adjacent lots. And we spoke to both, and they gave us permission to use it for the shoreline. It would be shared with snowmobiles and ATVs. That's another option there. Great. Thank you, Mark, for that update. It really clears things up for the residents of Squiduk who use that section, and they've been using it for a long time. Maybe it's something, well, as I said, it's the province that has to grant the right to use. I don't quite sure how you'd say it. It might be something that they could make some progress on in that sense. Thank you. And the last presentation, it's it's an internal representative, I might say. You all know our CAO, our Director of Engineering and Municipal Operations, Bob McEwens. He's going to talk about the Fire Hall project, a project that's been in the works for quite a while. And we've finally been able to get an architect to draw plans. So at least give us a sense of what it might look like and what costs are involved and so on. At least it's moving forward. This is good.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
There we go. Bonsoir, Bob.
Well, good evening, Bob.
Bonsoir. Merci.
Good evening. Thank you. My presentation's in English, and I'll speak in French, so it should cover translations to some point, to some degree. I'm here to talk about our project at the Fire Hall. We're potentially clarifying an addition and some renovations to the building. Say when? Inaudible. So just to remind you, the existing fire hall is on Victoria Street, corner of Victoria Harper and Sackville, very close by, in that part of town. It's right downtown, well located. The facades are pretty old-fashioned. The building's been there since 1991, so over 30 years in service, in operation in that configuration. And we know that there's been lots of changes to the town over the past 30 years. So inside the building, so right now there's equipment that is located between the bay doors. It's overcrowded in there. You see in the photo
side-by-side.
We have the side-by-side that is used for rescues. It's located between two doors. If there's an emergency where you need that piece of equipment, you need to remove one of the trucks next door, back things up, get out the trailer, and then you bring it out. So it does have an impact on the ability to respond to emergencies. There's also equipment that is kept in what is seen as the wash bay for the fire hall. So if they want to wash equipment, you have to remove something to do that. Pardon me. So here are the project goals. There's a few. One of the big major goals to start is to accommodate ladder trucks. There's an increasing number of apartment buildings in town and tall buildings, and this becomes a tool that's important for our firefighters. If there was an emergency that requires this, we can call in other municipalities that are close by so they can lend their services. But we do consider that it's necessary here by this point. And at the start, another project goal is to increase the capacity of our firefighters. It's just needed. The town is growing, and it makes it necessary to alleviate the overcrowding in the vehicle bays in the existing building. And as I said, improved emergency response times. Another goal, the building is over 30 years old and standards have changed a lot. So with these works, we're going to make sure that the fire station meets current construction standards. And we're positioning ourselves to have future capacity. So one day, there'll probably be a need to have permanent staffing, constant staffing in the fire hall. So we'll have the ability to have dormitories on top of the building. There'll also be a room that will be designated as the training room and in the emergency response room. So that room is located in the office of the head of the firefighters, but there will be actually now with this one is a special room dedicated to it. Eventually, there will probably be a need for somebody who acts as an office administrator, so there'll be a space for that. And as I said, and upstairs, you would have the potential to convert the second level to some dormitory area. So, update in terms of where we're at, in terms of designing the project, and some background in terms of how we've gotten to there. Towards the end of 2022, when I came took up my role, first thing I said was we're going to design a project for the fire hall. We need to define the scope and come up with a budget. So we found an architecture firm and consultants to help us with that. In January 2023, we gave them the go-ahead for a preliminary design package with preliminary designs in terms of architecture, and also civil subcontractors, structural, mechanical, etc. And a report that will give us some information, a Class D estimate on the value of the project. The members of the design team so far, well, there's a committee in place, and this is formed of a few town councilors, the mayor, his worship, chief firefighter, and the assistant chief firefighter are part of that team. There's the architect, Alain Malenfant, he works with Architects 4, and a group of subcontractors. Pardon me. Thank you, Carol. And myself. I'm on that committee too. In April 2023, we visited a fire hall that was recently built in the town of Dieppe, just to get some ideas and some inspiration. Most of the members of the design team were able to participate. And we lately received, end of September actually, documents from the architect. So they're preliminary designs and estimates, actually. Estimates as well. So I'll show you this current state of progress. Pardon, it's probably very small on the screen. What's hard to show here, but I'm going to move to the next one. This is just the view from the outside of the building. There's a reconfiguration of parking to accommodate the building. And you see to the right, south part, where there'd be a large addition long enough to be able to accommodate the ladder truck. This is the length of the truck. The length of the truck is the problem. It doesn't fit in the actual bays right now. You can see here in gray, it's the existing area of the fire hall, and then blue, see what be seen as the addition. To the right of the plan, that's where the drive-through bays are. That's the style right now with these new fire halls. The ability to drive right through it. You don't need to back the fire truck. And on the east side, the top side of the building, to the left, there's a reception area with offices, bathrooms. There's the emergency response room and the training room to the right of that. And again to the right, there's spaces for lockers and showers for the firefighters. On top of the building, there's some mechanical room and a storage. There's no second floor where there's any trucks. It's quite tall in terms of a space. Yeah, do you see the sections that have been developed? And there's some renderings that were made by the architect to give us a sense of what the exterior part of the building will look like once the work is done. And we have some guests that are coming in. So just to present the exterior part of the building, in the new sections, we're using windows as much as possible for natural lighting, so as to the greatest degree possible. Facade would be entirely redone on the existing building to modernize it. There we have the perspective. It's from Sackville and Harper, looking out towards the fire hall. You still see the window. The windows there. You see the extension. The addition wouldn't be two full stories. It would be one. That's what you see in brick. To the right, another perspective from Sackville. And a perspective from the corner that would be seen as the main entrance, where you would go to the administration offices and the reception area. So with this report, we got a cost estimate along with this. So the Class D estimate by the architect is around $8.3 million. There's allowances to be included, for example, engineering and furniture for the space and net HST. All that together, the budget would be estimated at $9.2 million right now. Please take note that when we speak of Class D, there's a bit of uncertainty in a Class D estimate. It's usually plus or minus 15%. That's the industry standard, and that with that type of estimate. In terms of the project timeline, we're certainly looking at, well, depending on the desire of the council, if the project were to go forward, we could complete the design this winter and head into the tender process in spring 2024, and then do the construction for summer 2024 to fall 2025. And there we go. Thank you. Few members have some questions. The committee members did review this prior. Councillor Jeunesse Cormier. Thank you, Your Worship. Bob, could you answer me this? Would it be easy to add a second or third floor to this later with this type of building? The reason I'm asking this is that it could be a good spot to have the town hall. Could you add elements in a few years? In terms of the area, could you go up to 3 floors, 3 stories? We did not assess that. That would have to be checked. I can't comment on that. But to my knowledge of building, it would be pretty significant impacts. I was just wondering, it might be an opportunity for us in 3 or 4 years to add a city hall, as other municipalities have done. That would have to be checked. We didn't look into that yet. And there's also be the area for parking to take into consideration. Adding room on top, if you don't have room for people, you still have the same dilemma. There's even a need for other parking due to the enlargement. It's taken up a bit of the parking. I hadn't count them, but I think it's like 25 or 30 spaces there. But in a case where there's a call, there's 40 or 45 volunteer firefighters. They're not there every time, but it could be a little bit too many overflow. There's another section in Victoria where the town owes money. It could be set up, owes land. It could be set up in that. Councillor Paul Boudreau. Yes, Your Worship. The question in terms for parking, the footprint's a lot larger, but it looks like there's a solution for all that. Great. So just one comment in terms of the tender process. Is there a time of year where it's better to start tenders than others? People have told me yes. Is it realistic? Is it better in the winter, better in the spring? It's a great project. I don't want to cut down the project. I congratulate Chief Donald and Joe and the committee members. Congratulations. And you as well, Bob, with the staff. A great project. Is there not a specific date? Is there a date that would be open to launch tenders to get, a bit of a better deal? In our experience, the best time to do this is in January, February, March, during the summer. That's when contractors are starting to price projects. Just at the start, to be at the start of that process, that's the best. So you'll get aggressive pricing before everyone is full up with projects for the job. You want to be at the start of that process. That's one of the objectives. So referred, if it's based on the council's wishes. The other question, it's not for staff. It's not too late to look for sources of financing that we get from other government levels. I don't know if it still exists, but from the Insurance Bureaus of Canada, given that you have objectives that you want to meet with that projects, the response time and better response times. We should reach those objectives, I think, with this project. Are there partnerships that we can get to get financing from such groups? Does this exist, Donald? So that we could, because we're offering a better service? I'm not sure if you're seeing what I mean. The staff doesn't. Maybe that's a more American phenomenon than anything else. Listen, maybe you might save a little bit on our insurance premiums, but I don't think that insurance companies will contribute to construction costs. To my knowledge, there's no such projects here. There are infrastructure projects that are federal, provincial, and municipal. Once they're renewed, that could be a source of financing. And I know that fire halls were also recently added to the list of projects that are eligible for the gas tax money. So the council could decide that to assign the gas tax for a year or two. There's potential sources of financing, but I'm not aware of that one in terms of insurance companies. I've never heard of that. It was an American town. The fire station was very proactive and ready to offer a better service in terms of insurance. So the insurance industry saw the advantages and they were able to contribute to municipal infrastructure. But I don't know. Thank you. That's all. That's all, Your Worship. Sometimes outside the country, it works differently. Actually, the fire hall project in Grand Bouctouche that was announced, they're using part of the gas tax for that. $900,000, I think. Yeah, a certain amount. Is there something that could combine? Councillor Peter Bro. Yes, thank you, Bob, for the great work. I'm pleased to see what is going on. The only thing that I'm not seeing in this project, and it's probably the most important thing, is the safety of our firefighters at the decontamination room for the firefighters. Unless it's there and I don't see it, I think that's the most important thing in the project. And I don't see where it figures into the project. Go back a few slides. There is something that we've done in the plan. Councillor Peter, if you can zoom in a little bit. Thank you. There are standards in terms of fire halls for decontamination of what for the firefighters. They're full of ash and smoke and other things. So to the right, it's the gear lockers. So that's a space that will be maintained at a negative pressure. More exhaust from those rooms that will reduce the chances of contamination. Will go from there to the next lockers, the lockers where they keep their clothing, their home clothing. So to avoid that type of contamination, that was factored in. And there's a room designed to washing gear. There's a large base, but there's a small room that's just for that. Gear wash drive. It's in the corner there. There's not yet a number for it. That's what it's for. So these things have been taken into consideration. We got the impact of Chief Donald and design standards as well, and the input of chiefs from in Dieppe at the fire hall in Dieppe. When we visited, that was one of the major factors that was included in their layout. So we'll have safety for our firefighters. Yes, 100%. Great, Councillor Peter. Councillor Roland Cormier. Thank you, Your Worship. I preside over the committee for the fire hall. I chair the committee. We have a window of 3 months and a half. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, if we going forward, we have to make a decision quicker rather than later. We have 3.5 months to finish the plans with our consultants and our architects, and then go to tender. If we want to go forward with this, it has to be quicker rather than later. We're trying to get the best price. If we can save some money for our citizens, that's what we have. That's what our responsibility is to do. My question, Bob, do those consultants have time set aside for us if we said yes, if we say yes rather quickly? I asked those same questions of the consultants. Honestly, having seen the work that they've produced up to date, I haven't included everything. I just want to show you the basic things. We have structural plans too, electrical plans, mechanical plans. Much progress has been made. I think they're well positioned to do it within a time period that would match up with our needs. What is the next step? Well, I know we need to say yes, but what is it, something that would be brought to the board, the council tonight, or is it for the next council meeting? Can we do special council meeting. I think that if the council agrees, we have to say yes quicker rather than later. No, say no. We'll say no, but I would not say no. But as I've said it before, it's not a want, it's a need. And if we want to be sure that our citizens and our firefighters are safe, we need to give them the tools. We need to give them the tools to do their work properly. They can only do their work well if we give them the tools. The fire hall is one step in terms of providing them with the tools. So, Your Worship, I would ask what the next step is. Yes, that's it.
The next
Well,
step,
Mr.
I think,
CAO?
Mr. CEO, it will be part of our budget discussion. So I wanted to make another point, but since you are asking this question, with the budget discussion start tomorrow evening, so we'll have budget discussion like for tomorrow, Thursday night, and Monday. And the goal is to adopt the global budget of the municipality at the regular meeting of November 6th. So this is the time frame we would have to work with, unless you want you want to shorten it like but the other thing I would like to remind you is we have to also to the borrowing commission, and that's another process that is a little bit out of our control. So it could take a few weeks because a project of this magnitude is something we would fund like over a certain number of years. So we have to go to the borrowing commission and approve this process before we can start the project. So we need to have the permission from the commission. This part is not a concern for me because our debt ratio is really good. I don't think we will have any problem getting that loan, but it's a process we have to go through, and it still adds a few weeks to the process. And thank you. As certainly have a follow-up. Thanks for the explanation, Mr. CAO. If the willingness of the board, I understand like the budget period, but I think I'm asking like more like a technical question. And my first word you on the budget. And I would hope like the willingness of the council would like to go ahead with it. We didn't have to wait until November 6th to start. Like if there was a consensus this evening or at the maybe a special meeting to say, yes, it makes sense. Yes, we will accept it in the budget. Everybody agrees we could start like the process this evening, technically. So we bring a motion, we will ask like the administration like to send it instead of with like no, that's okay. So the reason for my question is to try to save some money to the citizen. I think everybody agrees on that point. But if we can go forward faster, like to go forward, like with what they want to know, we might have a possibility. There's no guarantee, but we would have a possibility to save some money. I would find it quite stupid, like if we just stop. We would take a decision like in May in 2024, and then we would tender like in July, and then it would come up to 12 or 13 million. So we have the right to be stupid, but I wouldn't like to be attached to a decision like this. It's something we could see what we can do, and if the council members they agree like to go forward like as quickly as possible, well, there's some control as the CAO was mentioning, like the borrowing commission. The other thing also to see like within our budget context, it's an amount to build it, so we can get like we can borrow the money, but what would be the payment? Like so we know like things like that. So this project, so we have other projects just to see like how it fits all together. We have to know like before we can. The more information we have, the better. I will ask the same question tomorrow evening. Thank you. And we have a few other ones. So Bob, Councillor Murray Lloyd.
Well, I don't want to be the devil's advocate, but this obviously is a very necessary project. And I wasn't on the committee. So I have to ask this. Was there ever any consideration for a satellite fire hall? And why I ask, now with amalgamation, the area of Skiduk, the industrial park, and of course the highway, I live in Shediac Cape, you know, I hear the engines when they first start their siren, and they're coming all the way through town to the highway. So I'm just wondering if there was any consideration at that time that you had your meeting starting in January 23 at the time of amalgamation, because there is a growth to that area. So I'm just wondering, and I'm not being negative.
You want to know, that's all.
Thank you for the question. All I can say, I guess, from my perspective or from the administration, is that we were mandated to look at an addition on the existing fire station. There was no discussion at that time of should we look at another one.
No, see, the point that I'm seeing is we are building a new station. We will build a new station. There's a truck there that's got a lot of pull in this decision that we have to accommodate. But it's a $10 million project. So I'm wondering, and I'm only talking openly because I wasn't part of the committee, if we toned this one down and we built something else with it with the same dollar value or close, could we? Has that been exhausted? That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. Conseiller Emile O'Brien.
Mr. President, just to
Thank
answer
you, Mr. Mayor.
Murray Lloyd's question, the reason that we chose that particular site for the fire hall, renovate and do an extension on it, is because it's a volunteer fire department, and all the volunteers, they live all around immediate areas of that fire hall that's there now, and that's why you got to have a good response time. And as far as having a satellite office, it wouldn't be feasible. It wouldn't be sustainable. You don't have enough staff. First of all, it's.
You could get staff.
Yeah, but it's It's just that place was ideal for the existing, to do the renovation and the extension on it. Yeah, so. We wouldn't be ready for a satellite fire hall yet. Shediac wouldn't be ready for that now. It's where you see satellite. Fire halls, it's in the cities, you see it in Dieppe, you see it in Moncton, you see it in Riverview, but we're not big enough. We're not that big enough yet for that. So anyway.
Pose M. O'Brien, parce que là, je pensais, à moins que tu avais prévu qu'est-ce qui était sa question.
Like you were able to guess his question.
Now, Bob has made a presentation. Really good. Thank you, Bob. It was a good presentation. And he set up a timeline. Mm-hmm. So my question now, we want to respect that timeline that Bob put down on paper.
Yeah.
And so we have an architects forum coming to do another presentation on November 6th. So can we have a motion made ready for that night?
That evening
by the DJ and the clerk?
C'est ça le désir du conseil, if that's what we want.
Okay, so then we heard Bob's presentation. We heard all the presentations that have been since the beginning, and the last presentation is the architect. And right after that, if we could, and because I want to follow his timeline.
And by that time, we'll have gone through our budget process, which will include this, in that regard. So at least we'll know all that there is to know.
So I see Victor's taking notes there, so I'm taking me seriously. So it's good. Thank you.
Okay, merci. Conseillère Patricia Bourg-Chevalier.
Councillor Patricia Bourg-Chevalier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It might be a little bit similar question. Did you check with the borrowing commission to see what was the deadline like to go before the window? Because as submit an RFP before we get an okay. Is that something you took into consideration? I think, Mr. CEO, like the commission meets every month. I think you might be talking about the funding corporation. This after the project, so they only meet like twice a year. But the commission itself, they might be a month or two, like they do not meet, but they meet on a regular basis, almost every month. Because I was talking about the city hall project, but there were some months. I just wanted to make sure. It's during the summer, like I thought there was a month like during the winter, but will it become like Sackville Street, or because everything will be there? That's a good question. Probably yes. Yeah, because it's facing. If that's where the main entrance is, that would kind of make sense. Thank you very much, Bob. And we see like this subject generates a lot of interest. So the next one, we did not have any correspondence for this evening. Nothing. Report from sending a special committee. The financial reports. Well, we have a new finance director, so it's her second or third meeting. So, Carole Landeville, thanks for being here this evening. I think it was the financial report that's distributing like to the program we use for this one here. At least it gives you like an update and an overview of this. If there are any questions, Councillor Patricia Bourg-Chevalier, do I have to move like the adoption of the financial report before I ask a question or no? Okay. So the question was concerning like insurance for Rotary Park. We put $25,000 the budget. It is 91,000. Or do we have any revenue coming from Omarus, or we were way off in the budget, like from 25,000 to 91? Mr. CEO, press the button. I will let Carole. After looking and compare like the budget 2023 and for insurance purposes, we will see this in the budget discussions. So the budgets at 2023, like for insurance, like they were too low compared to reality. And the Omarus part. Omarus is something I have to look into, because there are some fees that came in and that should be billed back to Omarus. I do not remember like the agreement with Omarus, like there was like local there, so we just had a meeting like with Omarus, like trying to finalize it. They were kind of set back with all like the changes of staff. So all the agreements haven't been finalized yet. So we will have like a rent agreement with them, because the Visitors Information Center is within the Omarus Center. So we will pay like some rent, and then eventually, once the lease is registered, they will pay like the property tax. But this year we had to pay like. And it should be solved by 2024. So, Councillor Jean-Claude Bertrand. It's just the legislative services that do not exist. My name is not registered. Did you know you were not supposed to be here? So I see you have the deputy mayor. And a little bit farther off, like we have Hurricane. So maybe that's what happened. Like, yeah, she's the one wearing the pants. So we made this correction. So that's why the budget was lower.
7, 8, 9, 10. Ouais, il en manque 2.
There's 2 missing.
Vous soumettez vos factures. Non, non. Parfait. Conseiller Roland Cormier.
Councillor Roland Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the same question as Patricia, but
Le tien, là.
Non, c'était pour les assurances.
Ah oui.
Est-ce que
these were for insurances.
ça existe?
Does it
La sorte-
exist? Like,
Peut-être quelqu'un qui peut lui répondre. Est-ce que ça existe
is it something that
du
exists?
Je sais, dans beaucoup d'organisations.
I know it's some organization,
Comme les municipalités.
like group buying, like municipalities goes together and they purchase insurance.
En termes
Bulk purchasing.
On fait partie de ça ou qu'on est.
Are we part of this, or
Oui, non, la ville de Shediac fait partie d'un groupe.
the town of Shediac is part of a group, and I always forget like the name, but
On fait partie plusieurs
a lot of municipalities, and it started maybe like a few decades ago. It was smaller municipalities got together, and it's mostly for health insurance, long-term disability, like life insurance for employees. So we're part of this group. So the town is have been part of this for 10 years. So do we have like a group for infrastructure insurance? Not to my knowledge, no.
Si on va à la rubrique 26-14.
If we go like to 2614,
J'ajouterai conseil.
the only thing I would add, Councillor Cormier,
Francophone municipalité offre.
the Association Francophone of Municipality offers this type of service. And when it was offered was a long time ago.
C'était même pas au conseil.
I don't think I was even part of the council yet.
C'était pas le même package. Là,
It was not the same package. So that's why like what Shediac needed, like they did not offer it.
Mais
So
c'est quelque chose qui pourrait être regardé peut-être pour les prochaines fois.
something maybe we could look at for the next time.
Le 26-04.
The 2604.
Non, excuse-moi, le 26-14. On parle.
2614. We're talking about the recreation for full-time, like several employees, but $500,000. So there's no expenses attached to this, eh? Is it a surplus like you will announce in December, or not at all? No. So for the budget for recreation, leisure, we're putting it in this first line, and then and people working also at recreation, they can be assigned to different positions. So that's where we will send the expense.
Conseiller Paul Boudreau.
Councillor Paul Boudreau,
J'ai 4-5 questions dedans pour la page.
I have a few questions. So for page 1,
Des dépenses.
Les dépenses, oui.
expenses like
1015, les honoraires
like the professional honorarium, we had 146, we have 202,000 like invested.
Il y a 56 000 de différence.
So where is there $56,000 difference,
Monsieur le DG.
Mr. Director? So it's
Il y a plusieurs choses qui tombent de honoraires.
so there are several things like in the professional honorarium. This could be like
Ça peut être les frais
it could be like councils, and
les postes vacants qu'il y a eu à la
with all the vacant position we had like in the municipality. So probably like we had to deal with the consultant more
plusieurs dossiers.
than usual, and we had several legal files too, and
D'aller chercher
we had to
un recruteur pour nous aider.
we had to get like a recruiter
Pour remplir le poste de direction des
and
finances.
to fill like the finance director. So and these are these type of expense. So once we went over, like we had some, there were some, nobody was in that position. So that's probably it gets even, but might have a surplus at the end of the year, like 23704. I don't know if it's Bob, like street repair 225,000. We only have 25,000 investment. Like we have invoice that not came in, and some work we could not do yet, or street repair. I could give you an update. Right now we have several projects like we're trying to do, and we're doing all the winter repair. By December, we should have it done. Like
Bonne réponse.
That's a good answer, so we'll not ask any other question. The same question also for Rotary Park. So page 7, soccer, I know these are not big amounts for 18 millions, but they almost double, like $13,000 in the budget, $26,000 and change. Okay, is there something we did like for soccer? Or we almost double like the contribution. It's a project. Ball field soccer, so it means like maintenance and repair.
So,
Even if you don't answer this evening.
Ça fait que cet été, on a eu des problèmes.
So this summer, like we had some problem with our lines and we had to do them. We had to rely on an expert. So that's why like we paid like twice. And page like the winter carnival, like so we had almost 35,000. Is it something that happened at the carnival? Like I will answer even before, even if I was not in position, but I will explain. Like so the carnival, like we had an excellent idea, like the Valentine, and it generated a lot of costs and revenues we did not assess. So that's the reason for this. They said like it was for a month. It was spread over a month. So we reviewed like the carnival for 2024, so it does not. And the last one, like Canada Day, like we have 41,000, like so can once again, like it's something that was done before. Reviewed what happened like in the previous years, but some invoices were not in the budget and they were not reflected. Like the location of a stage and the high cost of for sound, and so they were not reflected in those projects. So we were kind of caught like last year, and we will correct the situation for next year. So we'll discuss later this week. So thanks for the administration. Essentially, like you had the same type of expenses, but different spot. Thank you. Thanks everyone except Bob.
Il arrive juste avec le projet,
so they're just coming like they're very enthusiastic about the project. Like
Fais une bonne job, Bob.
You're doing a great job, Bob.
En termes de services de protection,
the protection services, the police services. See, our Sergeant Baillet is here this evening.
La première fois que je te revois depuis notre...
It's the first time I saw you. Since our interview, like I saw you on TV.
Tu as l'air sérieux quand tu débarquais ton char de police.
You seem quite serious. So, Mr. Mayor, Councillor, I would like to think it's not fair. I would like to get a new building myself too. You got some asphalt. One step at a time. First, I would like to talk about human resources. So we got a new caporal. Then Desjardins, like he started to work at the Shediac detachment, so this position was filled. And another of our members was transferred like in the major crime unit. He should be in place. He should be here at the detachment. For September, just in the greater Shediac, we gave 41 tickets and 28 warnings. And in October, there's 31 tickets and 30 warnings just for the greater Shediac region. For the detachment beginning of September up to today, we had 707 new files that were created.
À l'intérieur de ça, on a fait 11 check stops.
We did 11 check stops, and we caught 7 drivers that were suspended the license, and 6 drivers who were who were drunk, and we got 15 calls for break-in and entrance, 26 mischief, for a total that includes those 2 categories, other theft, like these are theft, like more specific, like a car theft, and we got 61 calls for these type of things. And compared to in the summer, well, it's more busy, but just to compare between August and September, in August, we had 605 files that were created, and in September, it went down to 496. So I expect like during the summer that they were busier with a little bit less investigations. We'll be able to increase our presence on the roads. And I will have to mention, I did a presentation last week at the Chamber of Commerce, so some of you were there. We talk about prevention for businesses, to kind of prevent, to be more proactive, like to reduce like the occurrence of theft in those businesses. And another thing I noticed, it's often it's not reported to the police, but for us, it's important because we want to focus. Let's say we know there's more like break-in and entrance in one part of the city. We want to focus our efforts there. So this is one of the reasons, like it's important, like to report things to the police. And I think it was a meeting that was constructive. We will have probably a private Facebook group that will be just to share some information, so everyone is in contact, and we want to put all our efforts together and at the same place. It was a good meeting. And one of the reasons that we do not report all the calls, if 1 year we get 6,000-7,000 calls, as of now, like we only had 14 break-in and entrance in the businesses. It's not like a big number, like for the number of calls we have. It's just to give you like an overview. But once again, the message is it's important to report. And I have to admit, like over the last week, we had more calls like for shoplifting and things like that. So it's really like important we continue on this line. And also like with the school that started, like so we started patrolling like in school zones in September. We did 48 patrols like we documented. So maybe they forgot to put a check mark. It's about 50 patrols in school zones. Sorry. And soon, well, we will start contacting schools. So like last year, we started some presentation of bullying. So I would like to add alcohols and drugs and to do some presentations like to connect with the youth and work with the schools trying to educate our youth. That's all I had to say. And if you have any questions, I will answer them. Thank you very much. Councillor Paul Boudreau, I have a question like I would like to bring to new business since I have your attention. Well, and also like you have a gun, on your hip. So Like we all got like some email concerning ATVs on our trails. Like I go on the trails almost every day, and what brought to our attention, they're absolutely right. And I know we have a young guy like the Councillor Sylvie. It's very difficult. Like is to mandate the administration to explore, like if we could do something to limit the access. Like we have about 50 barricades. Now, to my knowledge, the barricades are not worth much. We have the picture they sent us, they showed it. And I saw like they can modify the barricades, and it's not something that can be done overnight, but I don't know if Julie's department could explore some methods. I was told they'll find a way, but it's no excuse. We have a responsibility to keep our trails safe, and it damages also our trails, especially to those access points. I don't know if you have a say in this, or you always get some calls like is to have access like to the trails, like to see like all the marks. And I don't know, Julie, or if you have a comment to make on this. In my opinion, like
c'est difficile de pouvoir arrêter les VTT si disons qu'on les voit sur les routes.
If we see them on the roads, like as you said,
Puisqu'il y a des fermetures, si tu veux, ils vont toujours trouver un autre endroit qu'ils peuvent faire le tour.
We'll always find us at RCMP, we do not have the tools. Like when we're talking about the ATVs, myself, and I could contact also the GPS public safety, and they have a unit like that is dedicated specifically to the trail system. So they would. So of course, I know like they travel a lot, so they will go to different areas. I do not have a clear answer for you, but something that we might the next meeting and look into this for public safety. That's where I was getting to. I know there's no solution, but to analyze what we have and what we can do better. So recommendation. So it's not something that's done overnight. It's not.
Je sais qu'il y a la maintenance sur les sentiers au cours de l'hiver, donc c'est un autre facteur.
I know there's maintenance over the winter. It's another factor. If we neglect it, can only get worse. And we have a responsibility on this front. It's mostly for Julie and staff to see what we can do for this. Thanks in advance. That's all. Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Patricia Brooke-Chevalier, thank you, Your Worship. I want to thank you for the presentation you did last week. I participated. It was a lot of information. It was very interesting. At some point, people said that it's a lack of resources because you have a lot of files that you're dealing with. And you said we could always increase the budget and have more staff. But if the town were to decide to put more money aside for safety in the form of the police, they're not going to designate one person for Shediac. They'll be shared. And I don't want to lead you astray either. Councillor O'Brien, he spoke to me, and I sent the contact person's name. It's the province that covers that with respect to provincial contracts and municipal contracts. And the contact person, the name I gave to answer those questions and explain how it works. I don't want to lead you astray here. My pay grade is not up to there, but the door would be open if we wanted to go forward to get more personnel. You wouldn't have anything against that. Well, he's not going to say no to that. They could make an office to sell. Thank you. So the question for financing, it's not a simple question, unfortunately, but it's worth discussing, especially with amalgamation that has occurred. Councillor Jean-Claude Bertin, it's just a follow-up what Councillor Boudreau was saying. The person who wrote the letter spoke of unmotorized, authorized on the trails. Is he talking about e-bikes as well? And how do we control? Is an e-bike seen as motorized? And are they entitled to use the trail? That's a good question. They go fast. That is definitely something I have seen. I have one myself. It goes quite fast, especially on trails. This is a question where I've never studied the laws as they exist on that front. If there's a maximum speed or something like that, we can certainly look at this. But I think it's probably a question that a lot of communities are asking in terms of those e-bikes. Yeah. I could look further into it. It's becoming more and more popular. So, as you say, that trail would not accept e-bikes? Well, for now, e-bikes are going on the trail, and just like any other bicycle, basically, without the E. But a pedal bike, yeah, you can go fast with a pedal bike, with a 15 speed, 20 speed. But it comes at you fast and doesn't make any noise. Surprises people. There can be some close calls. One thing that's coming to mind right now, to be proactive, I think it should be engineered if there's a big curve, that there's lots of signs and something to announce it to people to avoid accidents. That's the first thing coming to mind. But I can certainly take a closer look at this. You ask me to do so. Madam Director, do you have anything to add? I'll give you a little bit of education of this. What's motorized? It's an assisted bike. It's not motorized. So let's go further. In 2024, with an education plan, we'll have one for this. Yes, if you use the assistance, that you only use pushing to go forward, you're not necessarily fully using your assistance. So it's really, you have to pedal. We will assess this in 2024. We'll come back with an education plan on that. However, there's a maximum speed to be respected in 2024. If you'll accept it, it's a recommendation that we will do eventually. We will put in maximum speeds on the trail. We'll be listening to you. Any trail that has curves, you have to slow down. Yes, precisely. Great. A few more. Councillor O'Brien. Thank you, Your Worship. This is a continuation of Councillor Patricia's question just now. I also went to the station, the event that Animo hosted. One of the points that Mario explained is that the RCMP covers a large territory. Starts at Chibougamau, includes Kapakadi, Greater Shediac, Skudok, Pointe-du-Chêne, up until Quokine. It's a really vast territory for the RCMP. That size of territory is a major challenge for their members. So right now, the town of Shediac is part of an overall generic service contract with the RCMP administered by the province. With 7 agreements, it's the province that decides the details and the specific elements of the contract. Example, number of policemen devoted to the town of Shediac in the detachment. The same in the detachment, yes. So one option, that's why I contacted Sergeant Mario. It's an option open to municipalities that can negotiate a protection agreement directly for a municipal police force that would be dedicated only to Greater Shediac. This would be it's a municipal police force, yes, but with the RCMP. by negotiating directly with the RCMP, the quality of life in terms of the protection of citizen life would be much improved. The town would decide on specific elements of the contract and the number of police officers. Yes, exactly. As with fire protection, police services is a basic service that is essential and so very important. And with these reforms, it would be a cost shared with all of Greater Shediac. So I just got some information, put it in the hands of the Protection Committee. I thank you, Mario, for sending this. Lots of good information. And Paul will convene a meeting to speak on this. That's that. So that's an option. It takes us some time to get out of one contract to get into the other. The provincial contract, it's a 20-year contract, and it's ending in 2032. You can also opt out of it, but to opt out, you need to give 24 months notice, and you have to do it before the 31st of December. And then you make contacts to start it. We do have the contact to be able to start that process. We had to have 2 years to do it. It would be something that we can certainly look into. It would be something that we should look into. But we have to know what the cost will be. Yes. Just to give you an example, Shediac itself, prior to the municipal reform, 7,500 residents paid about 1.5 million through the provincial contract. Campbellton, town of Campbellton, before amalgamation, they amalgamated Tillville, all the LDSs and Tidyhead. They had a direct contract, about the same number of population, a little less actually, at the time, over 3 million. It's not to mean that you shouldn't spend double, but you have to know what's involved before you start on such an endeavor. It's not just 10% more. No, I understand that. Will it cost more? Yes, it will. But the municipality will control the number of police officers that we'll have in town. Do we want to have 2 officers devoted to Shediac or 10 devoted to Shediac? We would be deciding, the members of the council. Although the public safety department can help you in this to assess this, what should a municipality of this size, how many police officers do you need based on the existing standards? You're saying Campbellton had their own contract with the RCMP. They've had it for a long time. That's where I'm trying to go with this. There are 7 communities in the province who have a direct municipal contract. In this region, there's Sackville, and Kodiak, and one the interpreter missed. And Tantramar, part of their territory is a direct contract, and the other part is a provincial contract. It's a bit odd, but borders expand. It's doable. We can do it. We can look at it at the Protection Committee and go from there. Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Thank you, Mario. Have a good evening. We like you just as much as Bob.
Pick on Bob.
It's the night to pick on Bob. So next, fire service, we have the report. The fire department and the chief submits it every month, basically. So that's for your information. When we had Bob's presentation for the new fire hall, Councillor O'Brien. Thank you, Your Worship. Just 2 minutes last week, it was Fire Prevention Week throughout the province. I want to congratulate Donald and Chief Cormier and Joe Leblanc. They did an open house at the fire hall on Saturday, full of people, kids, wall-to-wall fire trucks and rescue vehicles. They're serving hot dogs and drinks and muffins, great big cake. It was really well organized. Good recruitment. You start them young. It was really great PR with the public. So well done. I congratulate the chief and Joe who organized this. Congratulations. I shared with the fire chief I couldn't be there. It was the Francophone Municipalities convention this weekend. But thank you for raising that.
Permis de construction, ben, vous avez
So building permit report, you will see it here.
les chiffres
You see the figures
essentiellement jusqu'à fin septembre
until the end of September,
dépassent le 100 millions de permis de construction.
where it's our 100 million we just gone over the $100 million in permits. It's the first time. It may repeat in the future, but we've certainly grown a lot this year. It's a large amount. A lot of good part of that is the new long-term care center. Next year will probably not quite be the same figures. We won't get the same type of building next year. In terms of the CAO's report, are there a few points you want to raise, Mr. CAO? Well, you've all seen the report. Owing to previous questions, I've already spoken to it. I just want to remind council members that we'll start our budget deliberations tomorrow night. It's let's not forget that tomorrow night, it's tomorrow night, Thursday night, and Monday night. These are the 3 sessions from 6 to 9 set aside for this to go through the draft budget that staff has prepared for your consideration. It's obviously your decision. Ultimately, you give us your recommendations and decisions. We'll take your feedback over the next 3 sessions of deliberation, so that during the regular meeting of November 6th to come with a budget that we can propose and submit to the province. The deadline to submit to the province is November 15th. So we're well aligned to meet that deadline. Carol and the whole team, staff team, have done incredible work over the past few weeks. And we'll go through all of that over the next few nights. So other than that, if there's any specific questions on anything, any given thing, I can accept your questions, or we can go to the next item. No lights? So maybe I guess you're not as popular as Bob. It's a theme. It's a theme. So next. Recommendations from Plan 360, 10.1, application by Marc Beauchamp. This would be Phil. Do you want to present some of these elements to remind us? Just the major points to discuss here. Last week I presented the application, 2 weeks ago, and tonight is to see if you want to proceed with the application or not. It's a rezoning request to R2 and a modification in municipal plan to allow 2 multi-family dwellings. It's just now the question is to decide to go to next step. So a recommendation to the planning committee and also a public hearing, and an additional step, which would be a public presentation as well. So that's not usual or typical, but it's like a hearing, but the public can't offer any comment. It's something we have to do according to law on planning. Thank you. Unless there are any questions per se. Councilor Miller O'Brien, thank you. Do you have an official recommendation for rezoning? The official rezoning will come from the Planning and Review Committee. If you want to continue with the application and we proceed, their meeting is set for next week. And we'll see about rezoning after and for the next municipal council meeting. This is a simple question of want to trigger the process to ask the PRAC their opinion, and they will have the city planners opinion, and then would come back to us for first reading. Mr. CAO, I'd just like to add, in the past, we would have adopted that resolution the same night as Phil had done his initial presentation. But given that there's lots of development projects lately, there's some preoccupations that things were going a bit fast. I said that we'll change the routine a bit. We will present the report, invite Phil to present his report at our first meeting, give you the time to think about it until the next meeting before we can decide yes or no you want to trigger the process. It's still not a decision tonight. If you want to rezone tonight, do you want to even consider the request? This is why we changed the process a bit to offer a bit more time to the council to think on their decision in terms of this file.
Question suivie.
Any follow-up questions? Councillor O'Brien. Thank you. So as I understand, we're going forward with the public hearing. If somebody were to move it and second it, and there's a majority vote. So can we finish that motion tonight? The motion is written under 10.1.1 to trigger the process. But I do need a motion on the table. Is this something that Councillor Després wants to read? Whereas the municipal council has received an application from Marc Bonson to modify bylaw -14 called Shediac bylaw to make a zoning change for the NID 064 and in the commercial general medium density residential zone. Whereas this the request requires a change to the residential land use map, be it resolved that the clerk do on the name of the council to bring to the PRAC under Article 110 of the Municipal Act to receive this request. Be also resolved that the clerk do in the name of the council under the deadline according to the law with respect to publish with respect to this such a modification that the public presentation be set to the November 6th, 2023 in the council room. Joël Després moves, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any questions on this motion? All those in favor say, shall say aye. I didn't ask for names yet. Contrary minded, nay. Two noes.
Okay.
Councillor Boudreau and Councillor O'Brien.
C'est adopté à majorité.
Adopted by the majority. Any questions? Why are we voting on it if the council is not going forward? I don't understand. The motion is to trigger the steps and send it to PRAC. Yes, send it to PRAC and come back for a first reading. Decision that we made in the council, they did not seem in agreement with the process. I asked for a vote, and people voted by majority to trigger the process. Unless you weren't aware. Did something change in the discussion that we had because the council did not seem in agreement with the process? Last week? This is for the Main Street project. There's a second motion that has to come because one is for the bylaw and one is for the municipal plan. It's technical. Councillor Joël Després. You do the other reading. Whereas Shediac Town Council received a request by Marc Dosset to rezone to change Z144454Z to do a zoning change to the PID 0086084 and set 704 3386 from commercial general to medium density residential. Be it resolved that the council proceed to study the file to determine if it is the public interest to modify the bylaw. Be also resolved that the clerk do for the council and ask the advice of the PRAC for the Southeast under Section 110 of the Planning Act to receive this notice. Be it further resolved that the clerk take up to publish in the under the deadlines set out in the law the public notice in terms of adopting such a bylaw, and that the public hearing be set for 20th of November in the council room to hear any objectives to the bylaws being proposed. I so move. Moved by Councillor Joël Després, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sylvie Collet-Boudreau. Any questions on the motion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. 2 noes,
Boudreau et Conseil O'Brien.
Councillor Boudreau and Councillor O'Brien.
Adopté.
Motion carried.
Processus enclenché.
So the process is triggered, seeking the advice of the PRAC in a public hearing and all of the rest, as we know it well.
Affaires non terminées.
In terms of unfinished business,
11.1, taxe sur
11.2 accommodation, tourist accommodation tax.
l'administration qui apportait ça.
The staff is bringing this forward. That's why Madame Martin is there.
Je pensais, elle est gentille, that's it, pour le
I thought that was nice. She was nice that she would come to the meeting. Yeah, it's for fun. I just want to see what you guys were doing.
Oui, oui. bienvenue,
Uh, So good evening, Mr. Your Worship and members of council. Some new faces, some renewal here. So I'm here.
It's not the good one, it's the accommodation levy one.
Inaudible.
The big lobster should be on the front of it. Perfect.
There we go.
Ça, là, on a le bon rapport.
Now we have the right report up. So tonight, I'm to talk to you about renewing the file for the accommodation levy mandate. As you have received the information, this mandate started in 2019 to follow the government expectations. The town of Shediac took steps in 2019 to implement a lodging tax. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, a lodging tax, it's based on one night's lodging for a stay of less than 32 consecutive days. We're not looking at long-term rentals, just 32 consecutive days stays. It's to strengthen the tourism industry. It can serve to add larger festivals, larger events, and to strengthen facilities that can attract those types of events and those types of festivals. Generally speaking, it's an approximate investment of 150,000, 200,000. That was a study that was done at the start of the process in 2019. So the amount might be higher today, especially now with the amalgamation. A little bit of a history for what was already done in terms of the lodging tax. There was already a few letters, a few readings. The mandate started with the previous Director of Community Life and Tourism, Denis Leblanc. It began in 2019. Mandate, now it's myself and Melanie Pellerin. First reading was done November 25th, 2019. Second reading was January 27th, 2020. Third reading was on March 30th, 2020, and it was tabled. Based on that, we continued. There was some resistance in terms of the operators. So we tabled reading, and we had consultations with Touriscop and operators who participated, who would be participating in the lodging tax. And in 2020, the pandemic started. So with the pandemic, yes, it did change tourism trends for operators and for tourists. So the lodging tax at that point we stopped looking at it. So tonight, we're coming back to the council asking to apply this mandate to take a look at the lodging tax again. Our recommendation is to start a new consultation that takes into account all of the new trends that came with the pandemic and with amalgamation, and we'll go back to the operators with some new consultation. We also recommend to deliver new readings of bylaw number 60 with a few first and second and third reading, if need be. From there, with the mandate, council's mandate, we have the mandate to continue to create a strategy for the accommodation levy, and that which would include forming an advisory committee that would be it would be an advisory committee to manage the tourism strategy that we could put in place using the accommodation tax levy. So basically, that's why we've come to see you today. So there's a resolution to mandate the staff to undertake this. I have a few questions or two. Councillor Ronald Cormier, thank you, Your Worship. Thank you very much for your presentation. What's the timeline here in terms of this consultation? with business owners. If we have the council's mandate to continue, we already have discussions started with a consulting company. We want to start in November to start to look at strategies for 2024. Okay. So you're talking about a committee that will look at a strategy. There's certainly, I'm presuming if we go forward, there'll be money. A committee of owners. Would you have the power over that budget, or does that budget belong to municipal council? I think I'll let Danny answer that question. He's heading to his mic. Can you come closer? Yes. Great question, Councillor Cormier. Those funds would be managed by the municipality, would be collected by the municipality and managed by the municipality. But forming an advisory committee is so that industry people will collect, they'd be the ones collecting that money. They transfer to the municipality. It's something for the use of funds. The industry members have a voice and they should be around the table.
From the industry should be at the table. And they control like the direction of the strategy. Like certainly the strategy will have some costs that will be taken from those funds. But to answer your question, the funds are managed by the municipality, but we will have like an advisory committee based on the industry. Does it answer your question? Yes. I did not like the answer, no, but I'm okay, like the committee should be established, but I'm okay that the committee like should make some recommendation. Yes, I agree with that, but that's where I would draw the line. Like I know it's something the municipality.
C'est l'argent à la municipalité, puis c'est la municipalité qui pas dire qu'on va être contre de qu'est-ce que les recommandations vont s'en venir. Comme que l'administration vient puis nous donne des recommandations pour dire oui ou non.
And we say yes or no.
Donner un budget que je pense qu'il va être assez considérable.
I think it will be a budget that will be quite considerable, like for unelected official of the municipality that we might look. I don't know like how they proceed in other municipalities, but it might be something. I support the process. There's a part you did not like as much. Another question, and I ask it in private, but I will ask it publicly. There seems to be like a perception, maybe a little bit of reality, but a perception. There's a lot of citizens, the town of citizens, they're under the impression like the town of Shediac is doing everything they can to accommodate the tourists. And once the tourists are gone, they do not accommodate like the taxpayers and the residents. Like there seem to be a perception. We could have the discussion how true and untrue it is, but we have an opportunity. I don't know legally we can do it, but I will still mention. I think we should try to look at the possibility to do it. We have 7 trailer parks, seasonal trailer parks, like RV parks, and from what they say, like we cannot. Those where they're seasonal, like we cannot tax them. But certainly those individuals contribute to the Shediac economy, like they shop in Shediac, but they also participate like in activities like all the Shediac taxpayers. So it would be interesting to look at some kind of possibility, like to find like this money niche, but because it could be something that would be quite considerable. And thank you. Just to clarify, to the answer you didn't like, Councillor Cormier, maybe I did not explain myself properly. So I just want to make sure. I have the advisory committee will will mention the development of the strategy, but at the end of the day, like the decision goes to the council. I just wanted to make sure it was clear. As for the campgrounds, well, it was a big discussion with the province to see if they could start the lodging tax and see and what we had like accommodation levy. All the municipalities they could have an accommodation. The levy is roof accommodation, and they did not include the campground. But however, there was a proposal in this article so that we could go forward with this new act that the campgrounds would, on a voluntary basis, who would like to participate, they could. I know it sounds funny, but there might be some places that the campground would like to start. Like if we go to the RV expo, or then we promote the Shediac, the campgrounds in Shediac. So there are pros and cons, but it's really up to the committee and the strategy to develop what are the needs here. And councillor committee some might want to get on board, but it would be done on a volunteer basis. But we have the authority for roof accommodation that also includes the VRBO, Airbnb, and the process are a little bit different. And thank you very much for your clarification. You're almost as popular as Bob. Councillor Paul Boudreau. I congratulate the department to go to the council to continue. And I see your sequence recommend. So is it something you? Yes, I would have loved to see to create a strategy so that we can take a more informed decision. What will your strategy include? So my concern, who will manage this? Who will need additional human resources to the municipality to manage the project? Who will collect this tax levy? And another question, before I vote to this motion, exactly as the councillor said, where will the money go? So that's the questions I would like to answer. And for other component, the Airbnb, there's 2, 3, there's 8 Airbnb, VRBO, or it has to address, and the council member should be informed before we proceed, so we can take a more informed decision. My concern is to manage this project. So I will come here. I think you will do a nice work on this file. Do we need the strategy before we read it, or is it? And then we trust the strategy. How does it work? It's a decision that would impact our tourism industry. So the motion for this evening is to give a mandate to the administration so they continue to work on this one, the same as it was described. So the readings will come once it's ready, that's what I did. And we also look for the Airbnb and the RBO. So there are some process in place, and we have some, we started to discuss them, and we can start also with the strategy. So the mayor answer, at least to continue with the process. Thank you. I don't have a motion on the table to go ahead. Councillor Jean-Claude Bertin. I imagine you check elsewhere. So what is the taxation rate? 3.5%.
Conseillère Janice Cormier.
Councillor Janice Cormier.
Okay.
Taxe sur l'hébergement touristique.
Tourism Academy, whereas the town of Shediac has to follow the new expectation for the government 2019 to implement accommodation tax in order for their development economy, whereas the pandemic interrupted the project early in 2020, and that the municipal council welcomed new members in 2023. Be it resolved that the municipal council renew the mandate of the administration to develop a new consultation process with operators and to create a strategy for the accommodation levy. Moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. Questions on the motion? If not, all in favor saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried.
Numéro 11.2.
11.2, multi-sports priorities and timeline.
C'est peut-être
I take for granted it might be Mrs. Bélanger.
Bonjour à tous.
bonsoir.
Good evening. It was saying good afternoon. Good
Ça a été
evening.
une longue journée
She said it was a long day
ou une longue semaine, hein, Carole?
or a long week.
Alors, moi. OK. Ben, c'est ça, je suis ici pour vous parler de la surface
I'm here to talk about the multi-sport surface. You want to know what we want to do, like where we're going with this. So with the many meetings, we decided to present like what were our goals. When I say us, I mean Bob, Victor, and my contractor, Réal Cormier. So we met the four of us. So we met also like right on site to make sure like we all have like the same vision and we're all going in the same direction. So we did not only met, but we also met like with members of the communities, our sports group, the community groups. We listened to them and we'll see that what came out of those discussions. So there are several activities we could have on the ball hockey, pickleball, basketball, the dodgeball, and also like physical exercise, just to name a few. So there's many other type of activities. And when we're thinking also about all of this, we're thinking about some programming. So when we're looking at what happened like in a similar community with a similar surface, they're offering like programming to invite the community like to use more their surface. And on top of this, when we're talking about inviting the community, we also want like to offer like some renting services. So we could for children's birthday party or other celebration, and even like coach for their sports to do their training. And the surface, like it's only like early stages. We only have one. We need some material. And when I'm talking about material, since the surface is a very good size, like to have a national and international ball hockey competition, it might be better to motivate more, like to make sure like people they're more interested in participating, maybe to shorten the limits. So maybe to have some borders that offer this.
So first of all, it's starting off because of the size. Escapes and
I need the first one. Yeah, first switch. That's one. Yeah, that one. Perfect.
So, pour ces bandes-là, c'est des bandes qui
those for walls, like they're easily removable, and according to the reviews, it's something that could be done within 30 minutes, like by one or two people. It's only like to name those material, but according to the sports, we will have like basketball or pickleball or ball hockey, like we will need other type of materials. And also, if we divide the space on the surface, we could also have more than one activity at a time. Here are some images. We have pickleball, ball hockey. So I only did like a quick schema, like where we can see like pickleball and ball hockey. So these are multidisciplinary spaces to have access to group sports, and it's an easy access. That's what the groups and the community want. These are outside spaces like to play and train. It's to have access to various teams, and it's also to have access to the community, like they want to have access like to an outside rink during the winter. So when we assess like the outside rink during the winter for the multi-sport surface, we have several barriers, and they are the following. So the obstruction of the doors, like when the ice is freezing, so the option like to remove those walls, and it's possible, but at very high cost. There's also the storage of the Zamboni for the surface facing of the ring, which is not adequate, like for the equipment or the Zamboni itself. The reasons for this, it's a small space, so we cannot do some repairs on the vehicle. We cannot open like the hood. No space like at the front and back once the vehicle is in. It's unsafe like to move like the vehicle out inside or outside the storage unit of the Zamboni. There is no draining like within the space for the Zamboni and for water generated by the Zamboni, and for safety reasons, there would be major work to be done to use like the Zamboni. So when we're talking about the outside rink, I'm happy to report that we have a partnership with the community of Pointe du Chêne and their outside rink. So we will manage like them in the maintenance of their rink during the operation works, and their volunteer groups will do it over like the weekends and the evenings. So we'll see like the type of material they need. So we are in the development of a great partnership with the community center of Pointe du Chêne. Voilà, in the conclusion, so we hope that we can use like the multi-sport surface outside like the snow season to offer the various activities, and we wish to maximize our energy during the winter season on the installation already accessible in the community, such as the ice rink at Pointe du Chêne, and also like the ice rink at the Pascal Poirier Park, if the weather allows, of course. Any questions? I have also like a timeline for the priorities. So the parking plan, access to with sewer and the optic to do it by including like the net zero plan. So this plan, we want to have it done in 2023. So before December 31st, and the design plan for the lines of the multi-sport surface done by an engineering firm, once again, like for 2023. The purchasing of sports equipment for different activities, it will be in 2023, 2024, because we have many to buy. Construction of storage and benches for participants, beginning of 2024. We already have a plan, like construction of a unisex bathroom. Once again, the plan will be submitted to an engineer, but the construction should be done in 2024. So the plan will be done in 2023 and executed in 2024. The construction of the access road and the parking, it will be done in 2024. Adding of the signs for sponsors 2024, and official opening in 2024. Thank you. Thanks for your presentation. I think it answered many former questions of the council. Thank you, Julie. Bravo, like a very good report. And I'm happy to see this file go forward. Just a couple of questions, like page 4, I see your priorities. If I remember, like one of the challenge we had with those installations, it was a surface water that would remain on the sports surface. So I see in your items, how will you buy like a piece of equipment to remove the water? I think it was the major problem of this installation. It doesn't seem, because it's done. We purchase a bathroom, so it's something that for international competition like tennis competition, USO Opens used to do their surfacing.
il y a aucun moteur. Ça se fait
There's no more, it's unmotorized, it's done manually, and the reviews are great, like all across the board.
bonne maintenance.
No maintenance. So I'm very deceived to see that this installation cannot accommodate like a nice surface. Is there a big difference, like with the skating rink at Pointe du Chêne, like for the why like Pointe du Chêne can have like a ice surface and we cannot? Is there a big difference? Like
C'est ça, c'est pour ouvrir les portes. Une fois que
it's to open the door. So once you have like
neige et l'eau, ça va geler l'accès.
so once we have like the snow and water, so we will not have access. We discussed it many times. Why just maybe lift the doors? Like why don't we maybe to increase, because it might be to with an engineer, maybe like just maybe lift the bottom of the door just to accommodate the ice. So could you explore this, please? And the other one was for the access, like for the Zamboni, like in the storage. So I congratulate like for the Pointe du Chêne ring. But the work like the department will do like at Pointe du Chêne, like all this equipment is outside. So why can't they do the maintenance of our installation in Shediac outside too? So in the optics, like when we started, I wasn't there. Like it's a file that was given to me, the Zamboni. So they added Zamboni to use the Zamboni on the surface, like to do the surfacing. If you visited like the space, it's very big. It's like an arena, and during the winter months, well, if we want to put our energy on some installation where, so that's why we made a partnerships. If we forget the installation of the Zamboni, like in Pointe du Chêne, like with their equipment, we'll go to Pointe du Chêne, do their work. We're not taking our material, like we'll take their material. No, they don't have a Zamboni, it's a floodel. So if we do not have any equipment, how we will do like the equipment with their own equipment? It's done every year, so no, it's not to attack you, like it's just maybe I did not express properly. It's something they do like every year. So they have like a ring. I know the season is coming, but I would like for your equipment to. Is it to expand this for the equipment? I'm not saying that for all the boards, but to leave like an installation empty all winter, like it's deceiving. But I congratulate you for Pointe du Chêne, but it would be great to have one in Scodoc or Shediac Cape. Like it's one of my comments. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Boudreau. Councillor Emile O'Brien, thank you. I just have a simple question, like how many pickleball courts can you have? I calculate like for yes, and what do you need from the council, like to follow the timeline? There is a resolution described for the mandate. So once again, it's something we can read. We can read it, and then we'll go like to the other questions. Okay, thank you. 11.2. Whereas the action plan was prepared by the administration of the town of Shediac to finalize the installation of the multi-sport surface and plan its use, be it therefore resolved that the municipal council of the town of Shediac approves of the action plan put forward in order to continue the installation of the multi-sport surface and qualify its use. I shall move. Mr. Mayor, moved by Councillor Emile O'Brien, seconded by Jean-Claude Bertin. Questions on the motion? You had two quick questions.
Okay. Councillor Murray Lloyd.
Councillor Lloyd.
Was there a budget developed on this?
Since we need some other third party, so other experts into that project, we have we decided not to put a budget in place for you for the presentation because the expert will tell us what are the right numbers.
But like you're talking about an access road and parking lot?
If I may, Counselor, in the proposal that we have tonight, there is no exact amounts, but in our budget proposal, we are suggesting amounts to be put in next year's budget to be able to proceed with this. We just didn't have the exact breakdown all figured out yet. So there is money. There was money in the 2023 budget, which is why they were able to buy some of the equipment already, and they're going to continue to do some work that they can with the budget that they have. But there will be a provision in the 2024 budget to finish what's in her plan. We just didn't have the exact breakdown for this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Conseillère Patricia Beauchevalier.
Merci. C'est peut-être pour continuer un petit peu sur...
It's to continue, maybe build on the subject we mentioned for the doors. The study might show the cost, but it says like it's a high cost, but is it $100,000? I can get back to you with the price. It could have been mentioned before, but we were doing our budget. But from what I remember, like it was quite heavy. And by putting energies with something, we will offer more multi-sport during 3 seasons than to raise the boards like for 1 season. So.
Merci. Conseiller Roland Cormier.
Councillor Roland Cormier, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for your presentation. It was great. Like, it's not a question, it's more of a comment, like more. So when we came in, like with a problem we had, we went through we had many discussions on this one. So I always explained that it was a 3-season project. I was always told that it was a 3-season project. It was not like a 4-season project. And I'm hearing councillors like they're just saying, they're talking about ice surface. Is it me we did not understand, or was it always like a 4-season project? Originally, like the individuals, the grandfather of this one was for ball hockey. Ball hockey, it's during the winter, but could be a surface that could be used in the winter, like. But the design, but the goal is a 3 season. If in the future, like in 3 and 4 years, we want to raise like the boards, there's a possibility to do so, but it's just we want to put our energy like to offer services and some programming like in an installation that hasn't been used. That's the option we are proposing to you. I agree that we proceed. So we said it's a project that was done during COVID, so we have some taxpayers that paid a lot of money, did not see anything like contributed because they were part of the private sector. I think it's time to turn the page and put the key in. And maybe we could invite like the council to have like the ball hockey, ball. I did not win. I think I might have a chance with the council here.
Il se croit aussi bon que Bob.
He thinks he's as good as Bob. Councillor Jean-Claude Bertin, thank you for your presentation, and I like the idea like. It's very important, so they see like we are working with them. And thank you for your presentation, and I would invite the other councillors from Muscodoc and Shediac Cape. If you have community group and you think like everyone could benefit, just write to me. So we have a motion on the table. All those in favor saying 5, saying aye. Against nay.
Adopté. Merci beaucoup.
Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Presque aussi intéressant que la raison. Ouais, ouais.
Almost as interesting as the fire station. 12.
Des installations touristiques de la ville de Shediac. Ça, c'est
Town of Shediac facility statistic. Mrs. Martin again.
On va faire mieux que Bob.
I think she'll be even more popular than Bob. Maybe a bit more popular than Bob. Before I continue, for those who never saw me, I'm the tourism officer for the town of Shediac, and I came into my position in August 2022. So finally, I completed like a full year in the touristic season. I was happy to put the numbers in place and see like the strength of what we could do together. I'm only presenting like an overview of what we saw this summer, like for in the Greater Shediac. In the touristic office, we had an increase of a few months. So July last year was a little bit higher, but because of the weather we had this year, we were happy. Like we still had a lot of tourists, and we're starting to see some trends also. Like in August and September, we're starting to welcoming more tourists than we had in the past. For 2023, we have an increase of 29% for the statistics that were collected at the tourism.
In terms of those stats, we count the people who come ask questions and ask for information to our ambassadors who work at the tourism office. So this does not take into consideration tourists who come just into the center to use a toilet, to take a picture of the big lobster, and that's it. We're looking at beyond 17,000 visitors who stopped at the tourism office for information. And this doesn't count people who come in the buses, and there were over 500 buses this summer. It's lovely figures, and the building that we spoke about, Amaris, where our tourism office is located, there was also an increase of 42% in terms of number of visitors. They officially announced their launch this year. If you haven't had a chance, please go. It's really wonderful. Another tourism facility where we saw increases this year was the old station, a lovely attraction for the history of Shediac. You can see the 2023 numbers were a bit higher, with a 37% increase. And the heavy months were for the station are 1st of July to the September. We try to keep it open for the Lobster Festival. So or Amar Festival rather, we had some wonderful results, increase of 37%. A new project this year that we undertook, it just started. It was in the second week of July. We came to the council this week for a request as part of the cultural policy to add in the old tourism office. It's the artist's cabin. So we took a project that was free to artists and arts organizations. We hosted 37 artists who hosted a total of 12,500 visitors. Not even for a whole month. We had wonderful results. We spoke to the artists and local artists who were there. They were very appreciative of this new file, and it was a great success, I think. And we already have requests from artists in 2024 who want to use the artist cabin. Each year we'll try to improve it. We've added some lighting, so it's a little easier for artworks. So we're looking to make additions to the cabin for artists can promote their artistic works to the tourists who come visit our lovely town. We certainly have new projects for 2024, including the 75th anniversary of the Lobster Festival. So we're anxious to see the trends in tourism in 2024. So the little overview of what happened in 2024. So if there are any questions.
On
Congratulations. Well, our congratulations ourselves in some measure. It's a group effort. It's lovely to see the increase in tourism in Shediac with this Homaris building. It's a beautiful building. It's a wonderful building to look at. It really it shows off well. The summer was a bit rainier than we would have liked it, but there you go. Can't control Mother Nature. Thank you. So, number 13, request for information from the council members. We answered lots of questions. Lots of questions were asked on many files. It's great to have some news. Maybe there'll be a Councillor Jean-Claude Bertin. Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, a point that was raised today. It's Alphonse Street. If you could contact someone. There's a pedestrian there's a crosswalk there. The light is burnt out. So at night, the light is burnt out. It's been over a year. And I know that it's not as simple as a simple bulb. I asked about this myself. If Bob had anything new on that, I would love to hear about that. Yeah, we get the same questions from a resident related to the lighting on Alphonse Street. For now, well, we've asked for a quote from a company that specialized in that to locate the problem, see if we can repair the problem. There's a larger project there coming up to really redo the underground wiring associated with those lights. There's recurrent problems. Something has to be done. In terms of making an immediate repair, in the short term, we're looking into that. Thank you. Another point, speaking with Mr. Claude Maya, the bylaw officer, Casey Street. Closer to the entrance to go to the Dollarama, there's a sign along the street where parking is prohibited. But on the top of the street and lower, he fines a lot of people because it's prohibited to park there. And the upcoming building, there's a sign with an arrow that says 90 minutes for parking. The lines haven't been set. He says he parks there, and there's lots of fines every day because they're busy every day. There were two signs at one point. One was broken 2 winters ago by the snowplow. He's saying that perhaps that the sign that is there to not park, given that the street is large, it's not really necessary. He said that when he was giving fines, there's not that much traffic on the street. He would suggest perhaps removing that sign or replace it by another one. And there's a fire hydrant. Fire hydrant. Yes, great. They placed it, but there's no sign there. So when the cars stop, if it's a bit low, they don't see it. He says, I continue to find people and I spend time there for really nothing. I thought I would bring it to the attention of those responsible to take a look at that. Thank you. My comment on that is normally the no parking are put in front of the fire hydrants because we want to keep it open. So if there's one, you can't park there. We'll look into a place before that or after. There's eventually be an entrance for the building that they're building, but there's two parking along the street for 90 minutes. But when they dug, they paved, but they didn't put the lines again in. And higher up, after the fire hydrant, they can park there. But we know they're not supposed to park in front of the fire hydrant. It's also where there's still construction. It's supposed to be done next week. Well, maybe an email that clarifies the spot precisely, and then we can look at it. Great. Councillor Janice Cormier, your worship. Small request. Before we used to do this, we're all part of an external and internal committee. We're all chair at one of these committees. Would it be possible for the committee for which you chair to do a brief summary by email to advise what's going on in your committees? I know before we did this, Paul did a good job on this. I think it's been lacking lately. I couldn't say what's happening in other people's committees. If you have a meeting and there's no updates, you can say we had a meeting, no updates. But it'd be nice to keep people updated in terms of what's happening in the other committees. I would like to ask that if you're chairs of committees, to send a little email after a meeting to the group, presenting some information to share. Thank you. Thank you. Before, we used to call these verbal reports, and we've stopped those a long time ago. It might be something that the group could consider again. An email would do. I'm just saying it. If Councillor Cormier doesn't have any news, I don't have any news myself. Councillor Lloyd.
As chairman of the Skiduk Industrial Park Committee, I'd like to ask the CAO if he has any interesting news for us that can be expressed.
Not yet, unfortunately. Discussions have been ongoing between the town and the province. It's now in the hands of government to decide, I guess, the next steps. I would say the rumors of a potential election might have slowed the file down a little bit, so that's always a risk. I mean, if there is an election call, it could delay the next steps by a few months, and if there is no election, then hopefully we could expect an answer within a few weeks. But we've done our part now with the help of the consultant that was hired to kind of try to mediate between the two parties to come up with an option for government to consider. So the government is now considering it, and once they indicate if it's something they're prepared to entertain or not, then obviously it would come to council for final decision.
Thank you. The second part is there anything new on the potential New English High School?
Almost an identical answer to that, Councillor. I did reach out to some of the district and provincial representatives about a week and a half ago, I think maybe now. I'd have to check my emails, but just to see, where things were at. They informed me that they've basically shortlisted the potential sites to 3, that those sites have been shared with government, and now they're waiting for a decision. So again, if there's an election, that decision could be delayed. If there's no election, they were hopeful that it was almost an identical answer. They were hoping that within a few weeks there could be an announcement made, because they had, like I said, they shortlisted 3. They didn't tell us what those 3 were yet. We don't have that information, but the province does, and it's now in front of them for a final decision.
Thank you kindly.
Okay.
Okay. Good questions. Donc, numéro 14.
So number 14, presentation and reading of bylaws, third reading for the budget of Centre-Ville Shediac Downtown Inc. We have the resolution. We've done the first 2. If you'd like to do the third, Councillor Joël Després. It is a bylaw regarding bylaw number B24/2010, a bylaw regarding the budget of Centre-Ville Shediac Downtown Inc., where that it be authorized and that it be subject to a reading, third reading by title. Moved by Joël Després, seconded by Patricia Bourque-Chevalier. All those in favor say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Mr. Clerk. B24-10, a bylaw regarding the budget of Centre-Ville Shediac Downtown Inc. Councillor Després, that we accept the third reading of bylaw B-24-10 by title. Moved by Després, seconded by Patricia Bourque-Chevalier. Question, otherwise all those in favor say aye. A contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. That was nothing new. Third reading. Number 15, motions and resolutions. This is a bit new. Mr. Clerk, can you show it to us? There's the Councillor Harry McEnroy who presented a motion to advise that he will present advise a motion next week. I suppose that you read it before. It's a motion that we presented during the regular council meeting on November 6, 2023. Councillor Harold McEnroy intends to present this motion so that the public services work of a department of the town of Shediac in collaboration with Public Works and Fire Department of Shediac prepare a proposal for a project to extend fire protection services up to Pointe-de-Chêne by extending the main water line and the fire hydrants located at the edge of the town of Shediac before fusion up to the wharf of Pointe-de-Chêne, of distance of nearly 1.3 kilometers. And on the description of the motion will be available for the members for more details. And Councillor McElroy is absent tonight, but he will be able to give a little more history, a little more context and background for all this. So it's not a motion for tonight, but we'll accept questions. Councillor O'Brien, thank you, Your Worship. Is that all the only details you have? It's a good idea, what he wants to do. To put hydrants in Pointe-de-Chêne. It's needed. I wonder, does this plan include a hydrant on the wharf itself? Well, at that phase, we don't have all the details. We just want to say that if Master McEnroy will probably be able to answer to your question next week. So to run the hydrant up to Accent Road, I don't think they want to break it up to put a pipe underneath. Well, we'll talk about that with Harry next week. Councillor Peter Breau. Your Worship, can you remind me why we are receiving? It's good that it's done. Why are receiving a notice that they will make a motion? Anyone can make a motion anytime. Did I miss something in the last meeting? It was something that we knew based on our discussion in August rather. We agreed that we do a notice of motion so that we wouldn't have to be caught kind of flat-footed by motion over the night. So we to advise people, just to give people a heads up. So is it only the motion? Anyone who expects to make a motion has to provide notice. That was the intention based on our discussions, and the members of the council were in agreement. The idea was not to show up with a last-minute motion without having the other colleagues had time to look at it in advance and without having input from staff. It's great to have a nice idea on a given evening. Well, that's okay. That's going to cost X number of dollars. Who will pay for it? Out of which budget? All of those things that staff can provide. And even then administration can help, especially the clerk, to describe the wording of the motion. Sometimes a motion, it's a legal text. It has to be written in a certain style. And maybe not everyone is able to write in that style. We might have the right idea, but to find the right word, sometimes you need a bit of help on that front. So, Great. Even for that motion, as Councillor O'Brien was saying, yes, good idea. Fire protection is a good thing. Yes. How much will it cost? Who's paying for it? All of those types of questions. We don't know those things right away. But I hope we'll know more. And we'll go with that. Number 2, 15.2, another advice, notice of motion. Here it is Councillor Gilles Desprez who will be presenting a request. Mr. Desprez wanted to speak to it, to explain what is happening in that sector. The exit of Highway 15, or not at Skuduk, but at Kent. It was reported by many citizens, in my own experience as well. We get cut off. You've all read my remark. People come 80 kilometers an hour from Skuduk, and the visibility distance for people taking the off ramp, they just have the chance to realize how fast people are going. I've twice had to cross the yellow line, and I didn't get rear-ended, but I know that I have to brake. It happens to me at least once a week, minimum, where I have to jam the brakes because people cut me off. That's just for me. So I thought that I'd do a letter to the province, about that the municipality could do a letter to the province. It would be better than simply me supporting them. I certainly think that there could be injuries. That's why I've asked this. A motion will come along those lines to mandate the municipal council, the town council, to send a letter to the province of New Brunswick, to the transportation infrastructure minister. Questions, Councillor Ronald Cormier. Yes, Your Worship, I agree with him. You've had the same experience. It's just an accident waiting to happen. Probably the ideal solution and would be to have the heel. There'd be another line that you drive. Well, we should at least ask for a stop sign. That's the problem. Yes, bring it to the attention of the authorities. It is their infrastructure. It is provincial infrastructure. Councillor Emil O'Brien. Thank you, Your Worship. Just to orient myself, where is this exactly? What entry? Is it? It's not Brobridge and Tresley. No, it's with Capelé. If you want to go to Bouctouche. Ah, okay. Oh, that one. That's a heel. They should stop. It's a yield rather, but they should stop. They don't even yield. Okay. Thank you. It's a part of the highway, but 15.3 residential incentives, ABM Home Incorporated. I need a motion. Councillor Janice Cormier. Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that the town of Shediac issue the balance of a residential development incentive check to the following developer, ABM Homes Inc., in the amount of $5,462.50. Moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Paul Boudreau. Question on the motion. Otherwise, all those in favor shall say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. 15.4, linguistic landscape, seaside grazing. There's a motion ready to be read. It's for the incentive for bilingual signage. Madam Deputy Mayor. You have to connect. So, linguistic landscape, be it resolved that the town of Shediac reimburse the final business, and that it comes from the linguistic landscape budget account, seaside grazing, for the amount of $3,680 plus HST. Moved by Sylvie Colette Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Joël Després. Any questions? Otherwise, all those in favor shall say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried.
Nous n'avons pas de nomination au comité ce soir.
So there's no nominations to appointments to committees. So just a motion for it to adjourn then. Moved by Councillor Germain Gallon. But I'd ask the members of the committee to stay in the room for a few minutes.